Hey everyone, thanks for checking in with us for another edition of What a Week. Chris McKinnon here with John Keller, and this is a big week. We've been talking about this for quite a while now, and we've actually hit it. The Senate impeachment trial is underway.
Have you been glued to the tube? Tell me the truth.
No.
No, right.
I've been dipping in and out.
However, that doesn't mean that it doesn't wind up getting, and this is what I suspect is going to happen, this is all going to get baked into the cake, the smelly cake that got left out in the rain, as the old pop song went, of doubts about Trump world, about character, about corruption, about a process being rigged. You know, Mitch McConnell's a very clever inside player, but no witnesses. I mean, even a majority of Republicans are telling poll after poll after poll that there should be witnesses. It's kind of a no-brainer. Only on Capitol Hill could people argue with a straight face that there shouldn't be direct eyewitnesses to what we're talking about, what we're trying, brought in to say what they know. So for Donald Trump, obviously he's not happy about what's going on, nor should he be. It's an episode that, you know, I don't think is going to be front and center come late October in the campaign necessarily, but as I say, it's part now of the bigger picture, and I don't think it's a part that's going to play well for the Republicans, but we'll see.
Obviously, more Republican senators up for re-election this time around. So when you start looking at those down ballot races, especially in some of the swing states here, with senators who are, you know, have been trying to walk that thin line between supporting the president and the party versus trying to, you know, take care of their own back. So what do you think how do you think this plays into that at all?
Susan Collins has got to be laying there at night, wide-eyed, staring at the ceiling, wondering about that. She's the senator from Maine who took a lot of heat for her vote in support of the Brett Kavanaugh nomination to the Supreme Court, now has a well-funded, experienced woman running against her up in Maine, and you saw the other day, she came out and said, yeah, she wants witnesses, although she's yet to vote for it, but she'll have her chance, maybe even by the time this airs. So, yeah, Cory Gardner out in Colorado is another one. Yeah, they're flipping out right now. And as we've said many times, nothing focuses the attention of these people more than a threat to their seat.
Right. Let's talk about the Democratic race right now. And it has seemed to be, we've seen candidates rise and fall, and we're seeing this kind of late surge right before Iowa caucuses in New Hampshire primary with Bernie Sanders now seeing a bump in the polls. Thoughts on that?
I can't say I'm surprised. Bernie Sanders, say what you will about him, love him or hate him, he has a solid core that he's established. Certainly in New Hampshire, we saw he blew Hillary Clinton away 4 years ago. And he has nurtured that base, and he never changes. He's always the same. And you know, you can't argue that he's not passionate about what he believes in and that he's not consistent for the most part. Also, lately you've seen him start to get very aggressive. His campaign precipitated the whole nasty spat with Elizabeth Warren that we talked about last week by getting very aggressive about challenging her and bad-mouthing her. Now you see them going after Joe Biden, trying to claim that he wants to take Social Security away. So, you know, this is the moment for Sanders to try to cash in. And I think he's going to do well in Iowa. That's sort of built for him. New Hampshire may be either the state that projects him on a path to the nomination or his Waterloo, because frankly, it's the be-all and end-all for Warren. Either she stops him in New Hampshire by, you know, running. She could lose to him, but if it's close, particularly with him opening up a lead in the most recent polling, either she stops him there or she goes home.
All right, and then moving on beyond those first couple states there, he's going to have to expand his voting bloc to eventually bring down someone like a Joe Biden or one of the other candidates who's doing a little bit better in maybe some of those southern states.
Well, he'll likely do well in Nevada, which comes next after New Hampshire. But then there's South Carolina, where he's not doing particularly well. That's a big Biden stronghold, or at least appears to be. And then you get into Super Tuesday. You know, how does he play in Texas? How does he play in those southern states, like you mentioned, Chris? You know, Joe Biden, I don't know if you watched it. I recommend it to everyone. I think it's on Hulu. The New York Times endorsement special, where they showed clips from their interviews with the major contenders, and then they issued their split endorsement, Klobuchar and Warren.
Right.
But it was fascinating to watch that. I thought Biden stole the show. Not by any issue statement he made, but just by the force of his own personality and his own life story. And he has shown amazing staying power, even when every wise guy and gal in America thought he was dead on the highway.
Yep, he's taking a lot of shots, and he keeps coming back.
And by the way, I want to retract that was a tasteless analogy I used, given the sad family history there, and I apologize for that. I didn't mean to do that.
Let's talk about back here, state politics. We had the State of the Commonwealth, Governor Baker delivering his State of the Commonwealth. And we talked last week, too, we were talking about the potential issues with the budget and budget shortfalls. So Governor Baker laid out his plan. What do you make of this? And then how does it get reconciled with the House and the Senate versions and all that? Do you see it kind of getting back to his desk the way he proposed, or big changes to it?
I think there's a high likelihood of big changes to it, and probably the most significant area of interest to our viewers is taxation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new spending in the Baker budget.
Oh, yeah.
And he tossed it off in his State of the State address, which you're looking at right now, by saying, oh, paying for the hundreds of millions in new education spending, that'll be the easy part of education reform. Well, you know what? I just taped an interview, Chris, that'll air Sunday morning at 8:30 with the head of the Mass Taxpayers Foundation. And they make a number of points about the economy locally finally starting to cool off a little bit. Federal reimbursements are declining. The population is aging. We've got a lot of pressing demands for new revenue, transportation, education foremost among them. At some point, just raising the tax on Uber and Lyft is not going to get her done. Gambling revenues, pot revenues, not getting it done. They're going to have to look at gas tax, maybe, income tax. So hold on to your wallet tightly. I know you always do.
Always do. All right, John, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate your insight as always.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Yes, you too. And we'll see you next time on What a Week.